July is officially here, and if you thought gaming news was about to chill out, think again, because leaks, rumors, and bombshell announcements never take a break. Seriously, you look away for 1 second, and suddenly GTA 6 is teasing a whole new city. Xbox is rumored to be on the verge of massive layoffs that could change the industry, and Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2 is stacking up another year of free updates when you thought it couldn't get any better. Meanwhile, PlayStation is about to drop a state of play focused entirely on Ghost of Yote, and the hype for Death Stranding 2 just keeps getting louder. Everyone's already calling it Game of the Year. Every single week, it feels like the news cycle is moving faster, and the stakes keep getting higher. Grab your snacks, get comfy, and let's dive into one of the wildest months gaming's seen in ages. Here are the biggest gaming leaks and news you've probably missed this week. Alright, so here's the rundown. It's July, and Ghost of Yote, the next game in the Ghost Anthology series, is about to get a massive state of play in just a few weeks. With June wrapped up, we're all waiting to see what Sony's going to show off, especially since the last reveal was more tease than anything. Now, if you remember how they handled Ghost of Tsushima back in 2020, that state of play set the bar. Open world exploration, combat mechanics, both samurai and stealth, horseback riding, customization, skill trees, even that classic Kurosawa mode. Basically, they went all in showing us what we were getting. So, if history repeats, we should expect something just as juicy for Ghost of Yote. Here's what we know for sure. This state of play is all about Ghost of Yote. Sony confirmed we're getting a big gameplay reveal, and this time it's not going to be a blink and you miss it teaser. We're finally going to see Atsu in action, the new Ghost, with her own set of abilities, weapons, and probably a very different playstyle from Jin. Let's talk weapons for a second, because this is actually a big deal. We already know the game's bringing in new stuff. Dual katanas, yes, you can dual wield. The Kasarama, Nagini Nata, Odachi, big, heavy swords, and even a matchlock musket. Firearms are finally in, which is honestly wild for a Ghost game. You can expect a bunch of new mechanics built around these. Now, here's where things get even more interesting. Ghost of Yote is built around a non-linear, open world. Think Breath of the Wild, but set in feudal Japan. So, instead of being locked into a set mission path, you can basically tackle the Yote 6, the big baddies, in whatever order you want. It's not quite as extreme as just running straight to the final boss like you could in Zelda, but the freedom is there. Exploration is supposed to tie directly into progression, with story missions, side quests, and discoveries scattered everywhere. I love this direction. Plus, there's a bunch of new systems rumored. You've got a wolf companion. Everyone wants to see how that works. The game's also expected to feature some sort of memory flashback system, where Atsu can recall past events in real time, similar to what you've seen in Assassin's Creed Shadows or even Zelda's memory system. That means story and investigations will blend together as you piece together clues from the past. There's even a new campfire mechanic. So just like in Breath of the Wild, you'll set up camp, heal, maybe cook, craft, and even use it for fast travel or as a respawn point. Think Elden Ring's Sites of Grace. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if there's a hunger or stamina system layered in, since survival seems to be a theme with the whole mountain setting. Here's what I really want to see though. Multiplayer. Tsushima's Legends mode was such a hit, and I think everyone's hoping Ghost of Yote brings something similar, even if it comes as a later update. But for now, I am betting all the focus is on the single player. This state of play is crucial. With GTA 6, Death Stranding 2, and The Last of Us Part 2 already out or about to drop, Ghost of Yote really needs to stand out. This is their moment to prove they've got something fresh and hype to offer, especially since PlayStation exclusives have a lot to live up to this year. So that's the setup. We're getting a deep dive on gameplay, open world, combat, new weapons, progression, probably some big story teases, and maybe, just maybe, a hint at multiplayer. I'm excited. Let's see if they stick the landing. Alright, so let's just put this out there. Death Stranding 2 is on track to be Game of the Year, and honestly, everyone seems to agree. This is shaping up to be a generational game, a true Hideo Kojima masterpiece. The hype is real. The game looks insane, improves on just about every single thing from the first one, and could blow the Death Stranding fanbase wide open. But here's what really makes Death Stranding 2 special. It's not just another great sequel. It's actually doing the whole industry a favor by exposing exposing all the creative laziness that's been rotting away at big studios for years. To get why this matters, you gotta rewind to 2019 when the first Death Stranding dropped. That was Kojima's first project after the whole Konami mess. The marketing was legendary. Everyone was confused, fascinated, and totally hyped. Like weird beaches, ghost babies, Norman Reedus, and some of the most trippy sci-fi trailers ever made. Everyone wanted to know what the game would actually be. But when it came out, the reaction was all over the place. The story, characters, and world were crazy creative. Honestly, if you actually paid attention, the lore was super deep. But the gameplay, let's be real, it was a walking simulator half the time. There was action, stealth, a few crazy warzone moments. But for most people, it was hours of hauling boxes across brutal landscapes, just trying not to trip. Not exactly everyone's cup of tea, especially if you were used to non-stop action games. And that's where Kojima stood out. Instead of chasing trends or copying what was safe, he went all in on a weird, contemplative, story-driven experience that he knew would only click with certain people. He took a risk. Some of us loved it, myself included, but it wasn't for everyone. Now here's where Kojima basically schools the rest of the industry. Most big studios these days, if you criticize their game, they'll just tell you you're toxic or you don't get it. Instead of listening, they start blaming the fans, pushing their own agendas, or hiding behind artistic vision. Like, look at how Neil Druckmann handled The Last of Us Part 2 backlash. He just labeled any pushback as hate, doubled down, and pretended it was a misunderstood masterpiece. Never mind what the fans actually wanted. But Kojima, total opposite. He didn't just tune out the criticism. He sifted through all the feedback, took the good stuff, and actually used it to make Death Stranding 2 better. That's the difference between someone who cares about their work and someone who just wants to push their own ego. Fast forward to now. Death Stranding 2 is coming in hot, and you can already see the payoff. Kojima said outright that gameplay is more dynamic, more action-packed, and just more fun. The trailer at SXSW, absolute banger. We saw massive action set pieces, wild new creatures, and a way bigger world to explore. The team dynamic, skill trees, better vehicles, new delivery options, all of it. It's all the best parts of the original, but with way more to actually do. And the visuals? Seriously next level. The Decima engine is flexing so hard. This is probably the most photorealistic game I've ever played. It just looks and feels incredible on PS5 with all the DualSense features turned on. What I love most is that Kojima gets it. He knows his fans made him who he is. He's not trying to troll people or make some grand statement at the expense of the actual game. He just wants to make something cool that people will enjoy. In a year packed with heavy hitters, Death Stranding 2 genuinely stands out. Not just because it's good, but because it's better than it needed to be. So, bottom line, if you get a chance to play it, even if you didn't love the first one, give it a shot. You might be surprised. I wouldn't be shocked at all if Death Stranding 2 ends up as Game of the Year. Kojima's still got it, and honestly, the whole industry could learn a thing or two from the way he does things. Alright, so let me catch you up on what's been going down with Monster Hunter Wilds and Capcom over the last month, because it's kinda wild, no pun intended. So, a month ago, the vibe was pretty different, but now, man, things have shifted hard. Here's the deal. Monster Hunter Wilds had to basically carry more than half of Capcom's yearly revenue goal. Yeah, no pressure, right? But somehow, it didn't just hit the target, it totally smashed it. The twist? Over half the US sales happened on Steam, not consoles. If this game didn't launch on PC and console at the same time, honestly, it probably wouldn't have been this big of a financial win. Now, on console, it's doing fine. But on PC, the launch was a total mess. Performance was all over the place, and yeah, that's not shocking. Optimizing for two consoles is pretty chill compared to getting a game to run smoothly on literally thousands of different PC builds. It's doable, other companies have done it, but you gotta actually put in the time and effort. But here's where Capcom dropped the ball. They didn't have the time. They needed this game out fast to hit those end-of-year targets. So that dream scenario where you release on console, polish the PC version, and drop it when it's ready, yeah, that wasn't even an option for Capcom. They had a 10-year streak of non-stop growth they didn't want to break, so they just sent it. And as you might expect, incentives got all out of whack. Capcom needed that financial win more than they cared about a smooth PC launch. Not great for us, but hey, welcome to corporate gaming. So what happened after launch? If you check out the reviews, there's there's a clear trend. At first, it's like 60-40 positive, and that holds steady as they start rolling out updates until the end of May. That's when things go south. First, Capcom cracked down on mods, suspending people for using unreleased cosmetics. Kind of fair, but it pissed people off, especially since the game was already struggling. Next, a nasty shader bug started hammering CPUs. Capcom's advice: just delete some files manually until we patch it. Like, seriously? That's not a fix? That's homework. But the worst part? The player base started melting away. You could see it on Steam. Only the diehards were left, and the negative reviews just kept stacking up. Then came the snowball. The worse the reviews got, the more people felt the need to dogpile on and leave their own negative takes. At this point, there was no way Capcom could just sweep the bad launch under the rug. Now, if you split up the criticism, you've got two main camps: artistic and technical. Artistic stuff is like, is this game even fun? Is the design good? That can be fixed if devs want to listen. Helldivers 2 did it right by actually listening to players. But technical problems? Oh boy, Capcom just hasn't handled that well at all. PC is always going to be more complicated than consoles, but if you handle launch issues fast, people are usually chill about it. Problem is, Capcom hasn't been fast. We're 4 months out, and their solution is still to tell players to manually delete files. It really feels like Capcom got their big sales and just stopped caring. So now people are starting to throw around the dreaded dead game label. And honestly, I get it. Even though Capcom is still posting about Steam-specific fixes in patch notes, none of it is fixing the core problems. And this isn't a one-off. It's starting to look like a pattern. People remember Monster Hunter World's rough launch, but that game bounced back after Capcom fixed it up. This time, not so much. And don't forget Dragon's Dogma 2. That launch was rough too. Major fixes took 3 to 6 months to land, which is just wild. So now people are looking at Capcom and saying, yup, you're taking PC players for granted, you want our money, but you don't want to do the work. Meanwhile, over at PlayStation, they freaked out after the Concord disaster and changed up their whole approach. It proves one thing: when enough players walk away, companies can change. But with Capcom, that hasn't happened yet. So if you don't know much about the Black Flag remake, let me just fill you in real quick. Here's what's going on. This remake is being put together by Ubisoft Singapore, the same folks who made Skull and Bones last year. Yeah, I know, everyone's got feelings about that. The whole point here is that this isn't just some lazy port of a 10-year-old game. They're rebuilding Black Flag completely from the ground up, but with all the new tech and upgrades from the current Anvil engine. Why Ubisoft Singapore? Pretty simple. They already spent years making pirate ships, islands, and a bunch of Caribbean stuff for Skull and Bones, so they can just recycle a lot of that work for Black Flag. Makes sense, right? Ubisoft's big goal now is to make their technology easy to share between projects, so they don't run into those weird situations where one Assassin's Creed game has amazing cutscenes and the next one looks like a PowerPoint presentation, because it's a totally different team. And honestly, this is the first Assassin's Creed that's going to be built from the ground up on the new tech, instead of that weird half-old, half-new mashup they had with AC Shadows. So this remake could actually be a big deal tech-wise, or, a massive letdown. Guess we'll see. Obviously, graphics and sound are getting a big upgrade. The water is supposed to look incredible. The combat system is also getting reworked. No more of that old rock, paper, scissors style from the classic AC days. They're supposedly switching to a hitbox system, which will feel more modern and, honestly, just a lot less clunky. Some people might not love that change, but the old combat doesn't really hold up if you try it now. Now, I gotta say, it looks like this is actually going to be a real remake, not just a, here's your $70 upscaled nostalgia trip. But it does open up a bunch of new questions, like how much are they gonna mess with the cutscenes, voice acting, or even the open world structure? Some changes might be cool, some could just annoy people who love the original. Moving on to the leaks and updates, and yeah, this game is the worst kept secret in Ubisoft history. Industry insiders already saw a short gameplay clip, and the feedback is that it really does look like Black Flag, just rebuilt in the modern engine, which is a good sign. Graphically, it's way beyond stuff like that first look at the Prince of Persia remake, so that's a relief. But as for release timing, that's moved around a lot. It was originally expected this year, but now all Ubisoft's internal dates have shifted. The Black Flag remake is set to hit internal beta in September 2025, which means we're probably not playing it until spring or even fall of of 2026. And honestly, I wouldn't be shocked if Ubisoft tries a shadow drop. Like, they just announce it at Ubisoft Forward and boom, it's available right after the show. That'd be hype. Even the official Edward Kenway voice actor has been dropping little hints that he's been recording new lines, which pretty much confirms it's happening. And collector's item companies are teasing new Black Flag stuff. So yeah, it's coming. Bottom line, this remake has the potential to be awesome, but it's also super easy to screw up. If Ubisoft cuts corners or ignores what made the original special, it's going to backfire hard. But if they get it right, this could actually be the Assassin's Creed comeback people have been waiting for. All we can do now is wait and see if they stick the landing, or if we're all just setting ourselves up for disappointment again. Alright, so here's the deal with Warhammer 40,000 Space Marine 2. This game isn't slowing down anytime soon. Saber Interactive just confirmed that they're locking in another full year of free updates and DLC. Yeah, the game's been such a hit that they're keeping the train rolling, and honestly, I'm here for it. They're dropping a new yearly season pass, which is probably going to be loaded with cosmetics because, of course, but all the core updates are staying free. According to their official post, they're thanking the players and promising even more PvE missions, new enemies, weapons, and a bunch of extra stuff they're still keeping under wraps. They haven't spilled all the details yet, but it sounds like there's a lot coming. Right now, there are 2 big patches on the way. Update 9.0 is dropping soon. No new content, but it's going to rebalance the game. The real hype is for Update 10.0 in September. That's when we get a brand new PvP mode and the Power Axe, a whole new weapon type, complete with fresh moves and animations. Honestly, Saber has been killing it with support so far. Last month's Update 8.0 gave us a full Horde mode, and the player count shot right back up. And now, with another year of updates lined up, Space Marine 2 is basically cementing itself as a legendary Warhammer game. If it isn't already, I'm just really curious to see what else they add. So here's what's happening. Jason Shreier from Bloomberg is doubling down on those Xbox layoff rumors, saying the official confirmation is coming July 2nd, literally right before the big July 4th weekend in the US. Terrible timing, honestly. These layoffs sound pretty brutal. Reports say Microsoft could be cutting up to 2,000 jobs across Xbox, and it could impact entire studios. Employees are basically just left hanging, waiting to find out if they'll even have a job next week. The Verge is also chiming in, saying Xbox is going to restructure its distribution in Central Europe, and that could mean some regions are just losing Xbox entirely. No surprise when you look at the numbers. Xbox sold only 12,000 units in Spain from January to early June, compared to PlayStation's 178,000. That's just insane. Inside sources say everyone at Xbox is anxious right now. Even entire teams could be shut down. It could be 10 to 20% of Xbox's workforce. Absolutely brutal. All this is happening after Microsoft dropped nearly $70 billion on Activision Blizzard and then had to lay off people in both January and May last year. Upper management's pushing hard to squeeze out more profit, but Xbox is feeling the heat from bad hardware sales and subscription stagnation, even though putting games like Forza and Gears of War on PS5 has helped a bit. Either way, the vibe is rough, and it's likely to keep affecting both Xbox and PlayStation for a while. As soon as we know more, I'll keep you posted. But yeah, sadly, things are not looking good right now. Alright, so here's what's up with Rockstar lately, and honestly, it's kinda interesting. If you look at their recent hiring spree, they're basically scooping up a ton of people who are all about app design, building apps, UI, UX, all that good stuff. It's not just a couple of roles, either. Rockstar's seriously on the hunt for people who can make mobile apps, and a bunch of them have backgrounds working for big social media companies. So you're probably wondering, why is Rockstar suddenly obsessed with apps? And what does it actually mean for us? Well, let's break it down. First off, we've seen Rockstar dabble in apps before. Stuff for Chinatown Wars, San Andreas, Vice City, and GTA 3. But here's the weird thing. A lot of those apps weren't made by the studios that are now hiring all these new devs. There's even a job job posting right now on the Rockstar website for someone to build apps. And this is just the latest in a whole series of hires like this over the past year. If you've watched any of my videos about a possible GTA 6 companion app, you probably know where this is heading. Rockstar's going all in on app devs, and not just any devs, people who worked for social media giants. Why? Let's think about it. With GTA 5, we had a companion app that let you mess with your license plate, customize stuff, feed chop, and whatever. It was a bit of a gimmick, honestly, but phones and apps have come a long way since then. Here's where things get interesting. Take-Two, the parent company that owns Rockstar, makes up to 80% of its money from mobile games, mostly thanks to Zynga. Like, mobile gaming is a massive money printer for them, and basically every other publisher out there. And if you think about how microtransactions work in mobile games, it's easy to see why. It's way easier to spend $1 here, $2 there, and not even realize you've dropped $60 until you check your bank statement. And with Apple Pay, Google Pay, all that, it's just too easy. So picture this. GTA 6 drops, the map's huge, you've got all these shops, clothes, cars, whatever. Now imagine you can buy all that stuff from your actual phone, not just in the game. That's an insanely easy way for Rockstar to make money, whether it's using your in-game cash or real-world payments. And if they make the app actually cool, like you can share content, trade ideas, whatever, it's a way for people to stay plugged into GTA 6 even when they're not sitting in front of their PlayStation or PC. Honestly though, nobody really knows exactly what Rockstar's planning. There are a million ways this could go, but one thing is super clear. They're hiring a lot of people for community management, social media, and app dev, and not just one or two in each area. We're talking close to 100 people. Easy. So here's my personal theory. Rockstar's gonna try to make their own social media platform inside a GTA app. Like, you'll be able to share content, maybe buy stuff, maybe interact with other players, and whatever you do in the app will actually affect your game in real time. Of course, all of this depends on how they implement it. If it's done right, it could be awesome. If it's a cash grab or everything's paywalled behind GTA Plus, it could get ugly fast. But either way, Rockstar wants to be right there in your pocket, sending you notifications and making sure you're always connected. Let me know what you think. Are you into the idea of a GTA app that's basically its own social network, or does it all sound a little too Big Brother for you? All right, so let's break this down. Does GTA 6 actually have another city besides Vice City? And no, I'm not talking about Port Gallhorn. That place looks more like a small shipping town than a proper city. Let's rewind a bit. Way before all the 2022 leaks, and even before I was making videos, there were those early Project America's rumors. That theory had people thinking GTA 6 might include some of South America, or at least more than one major city. When we finally got trailers 1 and 2, it became pretty obvious Vice City was the main setting, but people started speculating about Port Gallhorn as a possible second city. Personally, I think that's more of a settlement than an actual city. Now, there's been talk about this other location called Gloriana, supposedly inspired by Georgia, or maybe even Atlanta. Most vehicles in the trailers have Gloriana plates, but so far, nothing concrete shows it's a fully separate city. Same with the Liberty City rumors. A lot of people want it, especially since Lucia's family is supposedly from there, but I just don't buy it. Rockstar's been rumored to be working on a Liberty City port or remaster, so why drop that in GTA 6 too? It'd be weird to undercut your own remake. A lot of the hype for a second city comes from how GTA Online works. In GTA 5, almost everyone hangs out in the southern part of the map, and the rest is basically dead. If Rockstar is bringing in more advanced tech, like splitting the map into different online servers, they need a reason for players to actually travel across the whole world. Having a second city, or at least a significant town on the opposite side of the map, would help keep things active everywhere. But here's the catch. I don't think Rockstar is going to give us another city as big or dense as Vice City. All signs point to them putting the bulk of their resources into making Vice City and Vice Beach crazy detailed. If there is another city, it'll probably be more like a big town or a smaller important area with its own vibe and missions, but not on the same scale. I know people compare this to San Andreas with its 3 cities, but honestly, the technical gap is just massive. GTA 6 is pushing dense NPCs, advanced AI, traffic systems, all running on base PS5s and Series S, not on $3,000 gaming PCs. That's the real limitation. mission, not Rockstar's ambition. So, my take, there's almost definitely another significant location on the map. Maybe Gloriana, maybe something else, but don't expect anything close to Vice City in size or detail. Think of it more as a cool town, a port, or a region with its own personality. If Liberty City appears, it's probably just a cameo, a story mission, or a quick visit. Not a fully explorable second city, but hey, Rockstar loves surprises, so who knows? I'm curious what everyone else thinks. Do you actually want a second big city, or are you good with just one as long as it's packed with stuff to do? Let me know. If you want to be ahead of all the gaming leaks and news, specifically PlayStation news, time for you to subscribe. And as always, a like on the video is very much appreciated.